And mounting anger at the Israeli government have spilled onto the streets of Tel Aviv. This comes after the Israeli Defense Forces mistakenly killed 3 Israeli hostages in Gaza, misidentifying them as threats. This has triggered massive demonstrations against Netanyahu for not doing enough to free the captives held by Hamas. Now, the hostages were believed to be either abandoned or escaped the Hamas captivity. All the hostages have been identified as males, and they were in the mid and late 20s. The IDF revealed that the hostages emerged shirtless and were holding a white flag to signify surrender. And demonstrations started on Friday night outside the country's military headquarters. They held signs with images of the hostages' face and messages such as "Get them out of hell." The demonstrators lambasted Netanyahu for his inaction on securing a new prisoner exchange deal. Right, I want to first start by getting your insights on how precarious is the hostage situation right now, because Netanyahu, in his first televised address after killing the 3 hostages, has clearly said that Israel will dismantle Hamas and the war will continue.
Yeah, he's very clear about the continued movement towards the culmination of the war. But just days prior to this tragedy, the Israeli government said that they're not even talking to Hamas. They actually withdrew their chief negotiator, said there would be no more hostage discussions, which was taking a lot of criticism from some of the family members of those hostages. And then immediately following this situation here, I think that pressure got really even higher, and then you saw the immediate return of the negotiations, and now then they're talking about it again. And I just can't imagine that Israel wouldn't have the highest priority of getting those hostages back, even above making tactical progress for the time being, because the truth is Hamas is not going anywhere. Israel can take the time. They don't need to rush this. They need to get those hostages back.
I was just coming to that, Colonel Davis, on the mounting pressure on Netanyahu in Israel regarding an immediate hostage release deal. Can we now expect a change in Israel's strategy because as of now, Netanyahu has clearly said that it wants to eliminate Hamas and bring back the hostages both. But with the current situation at hand, can we expect Israel's strategy to change?
Well, I mean, they're going to have to. They don't have any choice. They have to respond to this dynamic and very changing situation. And look, I mean, there's a two-way street here. So it's not just Israel saying they're going to get the hostages back. They've got to give something to get something. And the Hamas side is definitely in the driver's seat here because they possess them so that they can try to extract high some kind of high price for them. But I also would imagine that they would try to drag this out for a while. I would imagine they would give some here and then some more here and then maybe another couple of weeks. I think that anything they can do to try to drag this out, to try to get more pauses, is what they're going to end up doing. But I don't think that strategically in the long term it's going to make any difference, but I do expect that it will take a long time.
Right, Colonel Davis, following on the point you made there that you have to give something to get something right now, how possibly can a deal be struck at the moment? Because like you said, that Hamas is on the driver's seat, and Hamas has clearly said that there will be no hostage release until Israel accepts the militant group's conditions for an exchange, while Netanyahu has clearly been adamant on not conceding to such demands.
Well, I mean, I think that's just part of the negotiating process. I mean, they made similar claims before the first one, and you see that they ended up relenting on that. I think it's like so many negotiations, you come in with a high demand and a high ask so that you can, give away to get what you actually wanted. And what the Hamas side actually wants is they want some of their prisoners released, and then they also want to buy some time. So I think that it's in their motive. Their benefit to continue to do this, because if they stay staunch and don't even give anything back at all and don't make any deals, well, then Israel's going to say, okay, we tried, and then they're going to continue on with the heavy bombardment. So I imagine that you'll see Hamas give in some of this, and there will probably be another round or two of hostages in the near future.
Right, Colonel Davis, the Mossad chief also met with the Qatari Prime Minister, and Netanyahu in his address also hinted at negotiations coming underway. Are you optimistic regarding a ceasefire in the future?
Well, if it's up to Israel, there won't be a ceasefire, period. They are adamant, and passionate even about having no ceasefire. They want to maintain the military pressure, and they don't want to relent anything on Hamas. But the pressure on Israel is also mounting, and it's getting higher and higher. I mean, I think in your segment there before we came on, you're talking about how there was protests even in Israel itself, many of which calling for Netanyahu's removal. And of course, in Europe, there's lots more. You see European heads of state increasingly asking for those. And you're talking major allies like Britain and Germany and France, I believe. I'm sorry, France and Germany. And many in the United States are also asking. So the pressure is going up for Netanyahu to have some kind of ceasefire so that the innocent Palestinian civilians can at least take a breather and get some more aid in there and to save their lives. And a lot of people just want the war to be over. And as long as Israel won't even agree to a ceasefire, then there's really not much of a prospect for that.
Right, Colonel Davis, my last question to you. We spoke about the domestic pressure on Netanyahu, and like you mentioned, there's also growing international pressure on the Israeli Prime Minister. My question to you is that what role is the U.S. playing in all of this? Keeping in mind that Sullivan was in the region a few days ago, and now U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has also left for West Asia.
Yeah, the U.S. government is on a balancing act because they're trying to continue to give support to Israel. They're trying to give support to our European allies, even our Asian allies, who all have competing interests and desires in this matter. And you see there is a significant growing appetite in Europe among our most staunch allies for a ceasefire. So the United States can't be opposed to that and also for Israel without taking some heat from one or both sides. So it's a tough situation, but I ultimately think that the U.S. is going to come down and probably agree with more of the European allies that some kind of ceasefire is in order here and something that's necessary. Otherwise, the killing of this innocent Palestinians is going to continue to go up, and then Israel could actually lose Western support, and that's much more valuable than any kind of temporary ceasefire.